Bash, you're right.
Yeah, I'm good. Very, very happy. We've just finished with Stuart from Tough Enough to Care.
Yeah, Mum.
Had some interesting conversations about men's mental health. We've obviously banged on about this for a long time on the podcast.
Yeah.
So it's come back and he's come to us now, and it's been really good, really interesting, and really informative in lots of ways.
Yeah.
So what you're about to hear is...
It's a complete change of pace for us, to be fair.
Oh, it is.
So we mess about quite a lot, normally. Well, yeah. So we don't want it to, it's such a serious subject. We wanted to show it some respect.
Yeah.
But it was a really informative chat.
Yeah.
About all forms of mental health, ranging from children right the way up to adults and men, and where you can get help and so forth.
Yeah.
Really interesting guy, super funny. He's got a great beard as well.
He's got a good beard.
I had a bit of beard envy.
I got beard envy.
Beard envy.
Yours is good, but I mean, I've got beard envy.
Yeah, he definitely got good beard envy. But yeah, I hope people enjoy it and find it as informative as we did.
I think they will.
I think so as well. There's even talk of reach around, so they don't completely go off piece.
Yeah. Reach around on a chaise lounge.
I mean, what's not to like to listen and see if there's going to be a reach around on a chaise lounge?
Exactly.
Images.
Go and enjoy.
Bash. Bat milk.
Stuart, welcome.
Hello.
How are you?
I am well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming to the podcast. We are delighted to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
It's
I'm delighted to be here.
good, man. That's what we like.
I'm just start by saying, man's got a fat beard and
Oh, do you know what? I feel a little bearded out here. I feel like I should have got some.
We just point out that's fat with a PH.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel like that. There's some good beard going on here. Oiled. I bet it's oiled. Does it look oiled?
No, I conditioned it this morning, so I've left the oil off.
Mine has natural oil from the fryers, so it's a naturally oiled.
Chip fat. I don't think it's a natural oil.
Is it not? Well, it's not
So
natural.
if I start licking you halfway through, it's okay.
Yeah, you'll taste.
Anything's acceptable.
You'll taste yesterday's roast dinner.
Yeah. Right, should we kick off? So, do you want to introduce yourself? We obviously have mentioned in all of our podcasts about how passionate we are about mental health in general, but certainly men's mental health, because this podcast is sort of, a pub-based, boys around the table having a beer. Obviously, mental health will come up in some way, shape or form. So that's why we wanted to get you on, the man for the job, as it were. Do you want to just kick off and telling us how this journey began and where it come from?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, to be fair. It's not something. Well, if you'd have asked anybody that knew me before 6 years ago, that have pissed themselves laughing if you'd have mentioned me and mental health in the same room. So my background, I've played rugby my entire life. I'm fat, I'm ginger, my surname's Bratt, and my dad was a teacher at the high school I went to. So it wasn't the
Fat was a PH, by the way.
No, that was fat with an F.
Oh, yeah.
With a capital fat. So I didn't have the best sort of time going through school, but no one talked about mental health. So down the rugby club, you didn't talk about your feelings, didn't talk about it at school. Whilst I was going through school, my mum was diagnosed with cancer. Still no one talked about emotions or feelings or mental health as a whole. So I just kind of thought, this is just life. If it was that bad, people would talk about it. And because they're not, it's obviously not that bad. So just put your big boy pants on and crack on. And that was the mindset I had. So I left school at the earliest opportunity and joined the RAF. Never wanted to go into the forces. It was never like a dream of mine. A mate of mine was joining the Navy, and I thought, yeah, give it a go. My dad took me up to the Palisades in Birmingham that it used to be on a Saturday morning and said, right, go and have a chat with a Navy person. They were busy. The Army desk was busy. And as I turned around to leave, the Air Force desk had just emptied, and the woman said, oh, do you want to come and have a chat? 6 months later, I joined the RAF. So,
Wow.
And at that time of joining, I'd done my first 6-7 weeks of basic training. As I went to Cosford for my trade training, I sadly lost my mum to a long battle with cancer, and it was that perfect storm. Mental health was never discussed. Emotions were never discussed. And all of a sudden, the forces had this broken, mouldable person. I became a high-functioning alcoholic ward junkie for 7 years of my life. Went all over the place. And that's kind of that that conditioned my mindset and mentality around mental health. So mental health was weak, suicide, selfish, and all those negative words and phrases that you hear. Left the forces, went into industrial engineering, chucking spanners at washing machines, doing industrial gas, all of that. Same mentality, same culture, different uniform. That's all it was. And not getting shot at quite as much either, which was a bonus. Did a lot of work in Birmingham though, so I didn't not get completely shot at all, but it wasn't as bad. And then I was happy there. It was my comfort zone. It was my safety blanket. Anything awkward, emotional, just man up. That's it. You can hide behind that mask. And in 2019, I lost 2 friends to suicide within 4 days of each other. Wow. Neither were known to the other, so there was no knock-on effect from one to the other. The only link they had, other than me, is they were both products of male-dominated spaces. So sadly, both of them were part of the armed forces. And that's not just to say the armed forces have the issue. It's a huge, widespread issue. And I look back now, and the first loss, I went to that place of they're weak, they're selfish, how dare they do this to us? Lost a lot of respect for them because I'd never been educated in suicide. I just knew that it was bad and everyone talked about it as a really sort of negative, selfish thing. And I saw no issue with that whatsoever. 4 days later, lost the next friend, went back to that place again mentally and kind of stopped myself after a few beers, because it's what we do. You know, you've had a crap day. What do? Go and sort of find it at the bottom of a bottle. And I stopped myself and thought, well, hang on. These people were my 3 o'clock in the morning phone call. You know, they're you ride or die. You phone them up and say, look, don't ask any questions. I need you. They're the ones that had been there for me. So they weren't weak. They weren't selfish. They'd have done anything for you. And after a little bit of soul searching, as you always do, after a few more beers, didn't you? That's when the emotions start to come out.
Yeah.
I kind of realised that they weren't the problem. I was the problem, and the hundreds of thousands of people like me with my mentality, and did what anyone does when they've had a few beers. I did a nice, cheeky, vague book post and just no context, just went, lads, don't be a dick, talk. Fell asleep in my Chinese and thought nothing of it. Woke up the next morning to an absolute tidal wave of positivity. Loads of piss taking, and I'd have been really upset if there hadn't have been
that's
any
gentlemen, isn't it? Yeah. That's how men deal with it.
That's what I dealing with it a lot of the time, yeah.
So loads of piss taking, but that was where Tough Enough to Care was born. Within that day, we'd come up with the name. Somebody else had designed a logo for us and gone, I really think this is good. It started off as a Facebook group. Then someone said, if you ever want to make it a little bit bigger, make it a Facebook page. So I've even had to teach myself social media. Yeah. And here we are, 6 years on. We're a registered mental health charity. We've trained over, I think the last thing we looked at, we trained over 10,000 people. We've supported upwards of 5,000 people directly and more indirectly. And it's all about just getting the message out there. And although I've waffled on all through this, our sole focus is to change the me's of the world.
Yeah.
So if everything we do, we aim it at my mindset, what it used to be. So if we can change me, people around will sort of change their mindset as well. And it's about changing the culture. And I'm glad that you do stuff like this. And you were saying about it's like blokes sat around a table, like in a pub.
Yeah.
That gets demonized quite a lot. Like you can't talk about mental health and beer. I've taken an alcoholic to a pub because it's their comfort zone and I can control it. And for the 2.5 hours we talk, we're going to have 1 pint. Whereas if I don't do that, you could go off and drink yourself stupid.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, you can't do this, you can't do beer, you can't do pubs. Why not? I am the most comfortable I will ever be sat in a pub or stood at a rugby club bar.
Yeah.
So that's where the conversations need to happen.
Yeah. To be fair, it's something that was kind of like one of the questions I kind of got about the social aspect of pubs. And it doesn't necessarily have to mean the alcohol, but I just feel like of late it's kind of lacking, certainly in a younger generation, where they're not necessarily getting out and talking as much because they're sat on their Xboxes or they're just sat in their rooms on their own. Do you think that plays a part into like just being able to be social? Because obviously massively social. You know, side-eye mobility commented how much me and you need to talk to each other to get through a day.
I think this whole podcast kicked off from voice messages throughout the day. And some of you touched on there was obviously getting people to talk, isn't it? Getting lads to talk and this, that, and the other. But I think it's very easy to get lost now in the digital world, isn't it? Where, you know, people don't communicate as well as they do. You watch kids nowadays, you put them on a table together, 4 of them, and then say, have a conversation. They can't, but give them their phones to pick it up and they'll have the conversation with each other at the table on the phones.
Yeah.
You know, and there's been a massive shift. And I think there's also been pub closures, hasn't there? There's been social clubs going down. You know, when I was a kid, you'd go to a social club, working men's club with your granddad, and some old boy would sit in front of you and he'd go, what's your name? And you would talk.
Yeah.
Because he would keep asking questions. And I think that's also, you know, what you've done is brought everything to light in men's mental health, but it's also with a real situation of there's been a massive shift, hasn't there, where we've lost the ability for communication, or certainly a generation has, but also we've lost the avenues and the places of work, if you like, to talk about that. Pubs, you know, and stuff like that. And it's a big thing, isn't it? It's scary.
Well, one of my sales pitch for the support groups that we run, I say to people, it's the pub without the beer. Because, you go in, you could have 2 hours of everyone's had a really bad week and it can get quite dark in there. So the facilitator lifts everyone's mood at certain points, so not to make light of the subject, but so people don't leave in that sort of like lower headspace that they came in at. But other weeks, if everyone's had a good week, they will just sit around taking the piss out of each other for 2 hours like you would in a pub. And that for me is what I need.
Yeah.
You know, you saying about the social connection. My eldest hates going down the rugby club because he doesn't like sport and he just feels it's like a punishment. When he's there, he plays with his mates and he actually likes it. But the mindset of, it's rugby. But I want them to keep that social connection with people because I think as a generation, and adults especially now, we've lost the ability to make friends.
Yeah.
Like you look at kids playing, and I was listening to a podcast the other day and it really sort of rang true. And I thought, I'm going to steal that because it does need to be echoed again. You look at a kid, you get to, like, we've got caravan. So we get there. First thing we do is dump the bikes out and he's gone. The youngest, 8 years old, and he's just gone. And he'll come back half an hour later. I've made 3 friends. And you'll see him and you will just go onto the park. Hi, can I be your friend?
Yeah. That's cool.
Oh, can I be your friend? Oh, no. Can I be your friend? Oh, what's your name? What do you do? Oh, right, let's go. And sometimes he'll come back. What's his name? Oh, I don't know. But he likes fish fingers and his nan's got a parrot. We don't do that.
Yeah,
and
that's really true, yeah.
And that's with the ability to have that human contact with the last few pubs that are left and sports clubs that are closing down around us. What happens when all of that goes? You're not just going to randomly text a stranger and go, can I be your friend?
Can we be mates?
Yeah. And I think it's difficult, isn't it, as well? Because one of the questions I've got that we talked about, and some of these questions people have written in to ask as well. So, but
nothing's off the table, far away.
I think it's a difficult one. Is how do you spot? So we're in a pub now, the 3 of us, and we're all having the laugh, taking the piss out of each other. You know, who's getting the beer? Da, 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 da. But say out of the 3 of us, one of us could be suffering in a real deep zone, but there's this front where, you know, I'm laughing and joking, but inside I'm dying. You know, I just want to tell someone. Have you got any sort of tips for the listeners or the viewers that are just so, like, you know, if you just, how do you approach that? How do you sort of say, are you all right? You know,
there's 2 sides to that. There's how to spot it and how to approach it. So for me, you 2 know each other very well.
Yeah.
You don't know me that well.
Yeah.
Your gut instinct will tell you something's wrong about the 2 of you.
Yeah.
You'll see there'll just be something, like the little sparkle in your eye will be missing. There'll be a couple of throwaway comments, or where you'd normally expect that person to jump on that joke. But I've left that wide open for you and you haven't done it. What's the problem? Other things to look for are just the things people say. So just, again, throwaway comments like, oh, no one would miss me anyway. Yes, it's a throwaway comment, but to say something like that, there's clearly a thought process in there. So there's a little things to look for. If you don't know someone so well, look at if they might start social or start sociable and then withdraw a little bit.
Yeah.
Or vice versa, if you've got someone who's usually quite quiet, and all of a sudden they're kind of throwing themselves into the spotlight, are they trying to get the attention?
Yeah.
They don't know how to ask for the attention.
Yeah.
And then the other side of that is how to ask. Just ask.
Bulldozer.
Yeah. I stand behind it. No one's ever lost a friend by asking if they're okay twice.
Yeah.
So ask, and also don't be afraid to justify the reason you're asking. You know, is everything all right today, mate? Because you just don't seem yourself, or you said this, or you're acting a little bit out of sorts. Don't kind of go, you know, you're acting like a right twat today. You know, that's not going to work. But in some cases, it will. So my mate Alex, who works with me, we know when we're having bad days, and our approaches need to be, look, you've been a dick. I've asked you twice now, and I know there's something. Tell me.
Yeah.
He needs that,
Yeah.
whereas other people need that arm round him and look, if not today, I'm here to talk whenever you want to talk. Leave the breadcrumbs for them and just, and then keep checking back in. Don't expect, there's a lot of expectation. The old school line managers, well, you know, my door's always open, my phone's always on. People aren't going to make that journey.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to, look, if you don't want to talk now, I'm going to check in with you. And then keep that promise.
Yeah.
Check in with them, whether it's daily, weekly, whatever it might be. Because after time, they'll think, well, he's kept his side of the deal now.
Yeah.
And sometimes, even if they had nothing to really talk about in the first place, and you'd misread the situation, they kind of feel obliged to. Oh, he's kept up this side of the bargain, so I better say something now. And it builds that level of trust and that relationship.
And I'm guessing that works on, it could be a long journey to get to that point, couldn't it? You know, it's not going to happen, say, overnight, or, you know, there and then they're going to go, right, lads. I mean, they might, but I suppose you're going to have to get that out of them, aren't you? You know?
Yeah, there's people I've known my entire life, and they know what I do now. I've been doing it for 6 years, and they've only opened up to me in the last few months. Something's changed, and I haven't altered my approach. I've just always checked in on them. And they've only just felt like opening up now. So, mate, I've known you for 40 years. Yeah, but the timing wasn't right. Okay, well, that's on you. And sometimes you can't make people open up.
Yeah.
You've got to respect that if you don't want to talk, you don't want to talk. And sometimes it's the worst thing in the world. It's the most frustrating thing in the world, because you can clearly see there's something there and you just want to shake them until they talk. But they'll just put their guard up, and then once the guard's up, it's even harder to get in there. So you just gotta kind of respect it and just go, I am here, and I'm gonna probably annoy you by checking in, but I'm checking in because I want to make sure I've done everything I can for you.
Well, I kind of, because obviously I run 2 pubs, so I'm an employer as well, so I have that checkup with the staff, certainly the chefs, because I'm a chef. So in a kitchen's very male dominated for most of the time anyway, although having women in kitchens is really handy at times. It just takes that edge off. But with the lads, I can spot it a mile away, but each individual has a different need. Like, one of the lads may need an arm around the shoulder, like you say, and one is, you know, you very much, what's the matter? And I go, nothing. What's the matter? Nothing. Because it is stressful, and it's always a stressful, comes after a stressful service. But then there is also just, you know, being an employer, you tend to be quite cynical at times. And I'd definitely say since COVID, the mental health gets bandied around a lot. And you can spot the ones that are genuine, but how do you know if someone's like genuinely just playing the system? Because there must be more of that coming through now as well, where people are playing the system. Would you say that's happening?
If I could get a £1 donation to the charity every time I was asked that question, we would be billionaires. And it's so tough, and it's a genuine question, and everyone asks that same thing, and it's so hard because that one time you get it wrong, that's not a person who slipped through the net. That's a person let down by their sub-safety net. It goes back to that gut instinct. Sometimes you can just tell. And, you know, a very polarizing opinion, mental health is the new bad back. And
you said that's
it really is. And that's not to belittle anybody who genuinely suffers. It's the bad backers that are now using mental health. And next year, when it's purple cauliflowers, they'll use that excuse. They'll just bounce from excuse to excuse. But they're usually the loudest voices. And sadly, because of that, people have the question in their mind,
Yeah.
Are they just swinging the lead here? Are they genuine? So then you're seen to question it. So the person that's quite quiet up the corner, genuinely struggling, now sees that link with mental health and they're trying to pull the wool over. I'm just not going to say anything.
Yeah.
And it's so tough
That's the
because
scary thing.
And there is no way of telling, because the people who, from my experience, the people who genuinely struggling will be open and honest. But then the people who aren't struggling have put a lot of thought into this, and they'll go online and they'll look at the signs and the symptoms and all this sort of stuff. So they'll tell you exactly what the person who's struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing you can sometimes, and I can do it now because I've been in this world for 6 years, I can ask a few more questions. And what I would say to people is, whether you think they're sort of pulling the wool or not, get them to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Because if they are just trying to chance their arm and get a week off work, one, they probably won't go to the doctor. But two, if they get to the doctor, they'll ask enough questions for that person to just completely unravel themselves.
Yeah.
So just say, right, okay, that's fine. I will support you. But it can't just be me. We've got to look at going to the GP, or some companies have like an EAP, like an employee assistance program. Phone them, and I'll sit with you if you want to. I'll sit there and we'll go through it together. And then the lie sort of, you can see it quite quickly.
It is a tricky one, isn't it? I mean, I've worked for a big corporation company before. I worked for myself, and I used to manage a team of engineers, 30 plus engineers, and you could have lads who were happy as Larry and, you know, every day lucky and didn't appear to have some form of depression or anxiety or anything like that. But as soon as they mentioned that they were suffering in their head, it was a full open avenue then of, right, we need to take care of this person. You know, we need to make sure they've got support. We need to make sure everybody's aware. And it could open a can of worms, and it's very difficult, isn't it, to say, yeah, they're pulling the shoe here. They're just messing around, or actually they do want support. And like you say, I think you've just highlighted in a nutshell how difficult mental health is to support someone, but also, are they taking the mick? Are they just trying to get out of work that day, or are they? But it's obviously for us as complete, amateurs or naivety. I mean, we've both dealt with it. We've both, we've talked about this a long time, before you yourself come on. And I think the thing is, sometimes you just don't know how to tackle it here.
Yeah.
And it's so difficult,
The worry of saying the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Which, again, I say to people, look, if you're going to say something, it means you care. So you're not going to say the wrong thing. As long as it's coming from a place of love and respect, the wording might not be right. If you might go and talk to someone, then I come and do a training session a week later and you go, oh God, I used that word and I shouldn't have used that word. It doesn't matter. We're trying to get rid of the word commit around suicide because the links to criminality. But if that's all you've known for 40 years, use that word and have that conversation. So there's little things like that words you shouldn't say, but there's no wrong thing you can say. If you genuinely think that person's struggling and you approach them to talk, they'll see the good in that. They won't see that, I wouldn't appreciate it, but I wouldn't have said that word, as long as it's coming from like a respectful place. And when I say respectful, you can still call, like we said, you can still call someone a dickhead because that's the approach they need. So I'd just say to everyone, don't worry about saying the wrong thing. You'll know if it's the wrong thing, and then don't say it.
I think for me, even if you get it wrong, there's different avenues, there's different circular groups where you'll walk in and go, right, dickhead, what's happening? And you'll go, pardon? And that's the icebreaker.
That's usually me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is not where I park my car.
Yeah. But, you might go for someone else and they actually they've got that glint in their eye. They're looking a bit tired and stuff like that. But like you say, thinking about it, whichever way you attack it, you've started that journey then, haven't you? And you'll instantly, I suppose, get a no or a yes or just leave us alone. Either way or you're going to get there, aren't you?
I was talking to a guy, we were at an event in London last year, and it was a big mental health thing. Again, one of those places where I'll walk in and go, all right, dickhead, and realise, shouldn't have said that one.
Yeah.
And this guy said, we on the conversation of saying the right and wrong thing and whatnot. He stopped someone from jumping off a bridge near London, and he just walked past and he was on the phone to someone. He'd had a few beers, munching away on his burger, and there's a guy just stood there, and he went, "Oh, you're not going to do anything stupid, are you, mate?" Just just throwaway comment, and this guy went, "Actually, yeah, I'm going to jump off this bridge." And so, call you back, and I chat with him. If he'd never said that stupid comment that everyone else would go, "Oh, that's the really wrong thing to say," he'd have walked straight past that guy, and the conversation would have never started. So you can't say the wrong thing. So just don't be afraid to just open a conversation. It might be awkward. You know, I say to people a lot of the time, it's the day it gets awkward for me, the day it's no longer awkward, sorry, I'm probably in the wrong job, because it means I don't really care about the outcome. It's an uncomfortable conversation, but the outcome far outweighs the little bit of stress and nerves at the start of it. So just have those conversations. And everyone also thinks they're going to be deep and meaningful. It's going to be, get you on the chaise lounge and start taking notes. It can just be going for a pint and just.
I mean, if you've got one of them, I'll happily, I'll get a beer. I was asking if you can't ask this school to is that available for hire? I mean, no, jokes aside, that's a good one, yeah. Stick one in the back.
But just going for a pint and just get, like you said, like with your voice notes and that, sometimes that's all you need to just get it off your chest.
Yeah.
You don't need to go for therapy. You don't need medication. You don't need all of this. But people think you go from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
You go for, if I say I'm struggling, that's it. It's the padded room for me and nothing else. It's not. The world has changed completely. Just phoning someone and just understanding that, do you know what, mate? I don't even do your job, but I can see where you're coming from. And that's kind of how I feel in my job at the minute. Two worlds apart, and all of a sudden you realise that you're not the only person struggling at that time. And that's the beauty of it.
We were talking about isolation to a point, where is if you obviously this kicked off from male dominated work areas, so lots of lads and stuff like that, and obviously everyone's like harder than everyone else, or shut up, get on with it.
Yeah.
But also there's the flip side where certainly Mark and myself, it's working a lot on your own.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's quite a dangerous situation where I'll have a job go wrong and I'll be in the van and I'll proper piss and moan to myself and then it might be, I speak to my other half, or I'll just message Mark and he goes, "What's up?" And I'll go, and then you just go on this massive rant. And after you're like, "Oh, actually, it wasn't that bad," really. But you could see where, should you haven't put yourself into that position and you carried on throughout your day, maybe being a bit aggy with people, being a bit short fused, stuff like that. But it's interesting to see that you could literally drop into that pit of despair through one situation, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, no one is more hypercritical of you than you.
Yeah.
If you spoke to your mates and your family the way you speak to yourself, you wouldn't have any friends or family.
Yeah.
They wouldn't want to be around you. And with the lone worker thing, I did it for years. I left the RAF and I was up and down the country on my own. And it is that one little mistake, or the silly thing you said to a customer on the way out the door. Instead of saying cheers or thanks, you say chanks. Chanks, mate. And you walk out and you're like, "You fucking absolute dick."
And then the self-doubt creeps in.
And you've now got a 3-hour drive home at 2:00 in the morning, so you can't call anyone.
Mm.
And you're like, "Okay, that's it. That's gone on the work WhatsApp group. Everyone's going to be texting. I can't believe it. I can't go to that site again." And next time you go back, "Mate, can't believe I said that last time."
Yeah.
Said what? And you've given yourself all that stress.
Yeah.
And it's the same with everything. You go inside your own echo chamber when you're on your own. You're lone working.
Mm.
I'd imagine even chefs to a point, because like the prep work or the after service and that, it goes, when I've been in pubs and known kitchen staff and that, it kind of goes a bit quiet in points, and that's where you just all of a sudden all the noise just goes straight inside you.
Yeah, you can be in a room with 3 people doing prep, but everyone's silent. You're in your own little corner. And like you say, if you have a bad service or something happens, and it's very similar to you just to do the one slight thing, and that can ruin the whole day for you. And you don't talk to someone. So we always have a statement in ours that, what happens in service stays in service, and then we just move on.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if we upset a customer, mistakes happen, we're all humans, and we just try and nullify it that way. But it doesn't always work, because you can see the lads, they'll go into their own head. I do it as well, and like, I might be at the one pub and the other pub will have a problem, and then I go straight into blame game, and that's when I'm on the phone with ranting, something's happened, the customer's done this. And yeah, it's dead easy to go into that space. It's much better than it was. Kitchens in the mid-90s were brutal, really brutal. So everything's evolved, and it is a lot better than it was. I mean, you were on building sites and stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked on sites in certainly building sites. So you've got lads in construction. Obviously, there's a big thing on constructions at the moment. Huge thing.
What's one of the highest suicide rates in the construction industry? Because again, it's the mentality of, it's a busy site, but who wants to be that first person to have the conversation?
Yeah.
It's easier to just talk about beer, tits, arse, and fags.
Yeah,
That's it, isn't it?
yeah.
We'll go for a smoke. We'll talk about what's on doesn't have it anymore, but talk about page 3 in the Sun. Talk about the football at the weekend. Who had how many pints over a smoke, over in the fag den, and then you go around the corner and back to work, and that's it, done.
That's it.
And nobody wants to be the one to put the head above the trenches.
Yeah,
I think it is changing. It's the mentality is still there, but they are trying their best. There's a lot of the bigger companies putting some effort and some money into training and stuff like that. But I think the problem is it's coming from corporate level down.
Yeah.
So having worked in industries, anything from corporate, marketing, comms, I'm too busy for that.
And controversially,
It's resistance straight away.
Yeah. And do they, controversially, but I'll say, do they really care? Like, do they really care? You could ask that question. Like, it's all in place. Like, well, right, let's put mental health nursing. Yeah.
I actually had a conversation with a company last week, and the person and I'm not going to name the person on the Teams call as an introductory call to book some mental health training in, openly admitted, well, this is just a bit of a box ticking exercise.
You have got.
I was like, it could be a big contract. Just smile, because once I'm in there and I'm talking to the people, it no longer becomes a box ticking exercise, because I can get into those people.
Just getting your foot through the door.
But it was just having to get past that comment, like, don't flash, just calm down, and not flash in a good way either.
Feel free. I mean, it's his video. Why not? I mean, the thing is it as well? Is it a generational thing? So you could say from my granddad's era to my dad's era to the era now to the kids we have, the person you spoke to on the phone who said, "Oh, this is just a tick box." She could be from an older generation who's still in that remit of.
No, they're younger than me.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that was my question. Is this something sort of institutionalized in a generation where, now it's become more aware, hasn't it? It's become more available. There's like yourself, and people are making it a sort of everyday conversation, which is fantastic. But at the same time, there's obviously people out there who are going to go, there's nothing wrong with him, he needs a kick up the arse,
And you're never going to change that, I think, to a certain point in generations, that you can't teach an old dog new tricks and all that sort of stuff. There are people within that generation that have really bought into this, really got on board. We've got our charity rugby team, the Flaming Unicorns. We've got players that are 50s, 60s, and they're buying into this as a mental health rugby team. 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, if you mentioned mental health in a rugby club, you best be following that up with a joke, or you're out, you're gone. And part of the reason we set up the team was a way of getting into clubs, because you'd phone up and you get the old guard, the old committee members of that generation. Oh, no, we don't have mental health in here, and that's it. Gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Phone up and go, all right, lads, can we bring 30 players? We're going to wear some gangster unicorn kit. All of us are going to buy at least 2 or 3 pints in the bar afterwards, and just have a bit of an old school rugby social. Oh, yeah, absolute. Bar takings are down, so get them in. Yeah. And then all of a sudden we've got them, and we have to stand on the chair afterwards and say thank you. And then we'll give our 5-10 minute spiel about mental health. And the same people, the same generation that didn't want us in there, are the ones that when you get down off that chair, all right, mate, have you got 5 minutes?
Brilliant.
Interesting.
So they don't want to break rank. That's all it is. They can hide behind it, and all of a sudden, everyone seems to be buying into this. It's safe now. I can talk about it.
Yeah.
And I think that guardedness is the same all the way through the generations, and it depends what your upbringing is as well.
Yeah.
So the younger generations are brilliant at talking about it if they come from an open and supportive environment. If you're being brought up by those older generations, you're still going to think you've got to fall in line with them. So it's getting easier to talk, but the older generations are still having that rub-off effect on certain pockets of younger people. And I think that's probably where the hot spots are for people struggling, like suffering with their mental health.
Yeah.
Because they feel like, all my mates are still able to talk about it. Why can't I?
Yeah.
They can, but they just don't feel like they can. It's really tough, and that's why we do a lot of work with schools and colleges now as well.
Just a question that's coming to my head is talking about kids of today and everything like that. And obviously we had the social clubs, we had the pubs, go with your uncles, your granddads. Is there
The taste of neglect up the corner with the glass bottle of Diet Coke
and crisps?
Yeah.
So many recruits.
Dying to get on the pool table.
Can I have a pound, Grandad? No, you've already had two. That's it.
But luckily at that point you were still too small you sat underneath the smoke cloud.
That's it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, the haze. Obviously, there's a lot of mental health from our generation just being locked in, if you like, not being able to say anything. What about now, where you've got obviously social media pressures, Snapchats and TikToks and all these things? The kids are just locked and loaded into this fake world, if you like, because they see influencers, they see people driving around in Ferraris and stuff like that. Is that having an effect on lads or certainly teenagers, or lads more so?
Yeah, I've started to call it the Love Island effect.
No, right. Nice.
It's young lads now, especially body dysmorphia, eating disorders, all those kind of mental health struggles are huge, because they see they've got to have this beach body. They've got to. They're striving to look like us, basically.
Yeah,
and
Yeah, obviously like us. Yeah.
This took a lot to achieve.
this is time served and full pay.
Yeah, work. A lot of work.
But so the pressure's there, and it's the old saying of keeping up with the Joneses, where you've got to have the car, you've got to have the house, you've got to have this, and they're putting themselves into crippling debt.
Yeah.
Just to wear the right clothes and have the whitest teeth, and they're going to the gym 6 days a week, sometimes twice a day, and it's bad for them. But the influencers and the Instagrammers and the Love Islanders are making it seem like it's okay. And well, if I just get on that show, I'm set for life.
Yeah.
There's 5 million people trying to get on that show of. I've never actually watched an episode. But is it 10, 12 people on it or something?
He's definitely.
I've always got the body.
Yeah.
Fully downloaded the whole series until the man binged it.
No, it's a really interesting one, isn't it? And it's a really sad state of affairs as well, isn't it? That.
But also, kids can't get away from it.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
I said I didn't have the best time at school, but I shut that door when I got home. That's the world gone. And if my sister was using the dial-up for her homework, while my mum was on the phone to her sister, I couldn't even get on the internet with the old...
Straight on the Atari.
That's it. The world, everything stopped. It was silent, and I was happy. And if I wanted to go out, I'd knock on my mate, and we'd go out.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they come out of school. My eldest is in year 6 in primary school. We've allowed him to have a phone so we can walk to and from school. So he's got that little bit of independence. Yeah. He's got like 3 tracking apps on him, but he's got that independence.
The tracking, yeah.
And he'll get home and he'll be sat there trying to talk to, how was your day, mate? And he'll just keep looking at his phone because someone else is messaging him or phoning him. And because he's been off all day, none of his mates have texted him. He hasn't got notifications off them. But he's downloaded like 50 different games on his phone.
Yeah.
So all the notifications come through, and you just see the instant stress. I need to check all of them. You don't, mate. It's Subway Surfers. You're absolutely fine.
Yeah.
It's just a game, but it's just there. And we've had to ban all screens at the dinner table now.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we're not doing it. We're not even watching TV in the kitchen. We're going to talk and have that time because we're losing the connection. And he's 11.
I mean, for me, the worrying thing of that is that he's 11. That's primarily, he's got his schoolwork, hasn't he? And he's got his phone are his main 2 things at the moment with his family time in the mix of all that. So you imagine that in say 10, 12 years time when he's actually going to a job, if you like, if he goes straight to a job, or when he's 20, and that pressure then plus a job plus maybe a girlfriend or a family or something like that as he's a bit older, this is obviously now like a big thing, isn't it, now, where the increasing pressure, I think, is getting 50 times worse for everybody, really, isn't it?
He's just finished this. He's got his last one today. He's mock SATs.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember at school, like, SATs were this
Yeah.
big thing. And it was the only time school really put any pressure on us. They didn't care about anything else. It was make sure your shirt's tucked in, make sure your tie's done properly, and your SATs. He's been going on about this since they went back to school in September. SATs. He's been in tears. He's not been sleeping. The other 2 or 3 weeks ago, we couldn't get him to sleep until 1 o'clock in the morning. And I just phoned the school the next day and I was like, yeah, coming in. Oh, what's the problem? The pressure, the stress that you're putting him under. And we had it again at the weekend. There's no amount of times that me and my missus can sit there and go, look, mate, and this is also a message to any teacher that's listening to this. I'm proudly saying this. I don't give a shit about your SATs results. It means nothing for you. The school are putting all this pressure on these kids. It's only to show how well the school are doing. It's nothing about the
School's
kids.
not fun anymore, is it? Like,
No.
It was fun when we were at school. Like,
The homework that comes back, it's stressful for me. I'm having to Google their homework before I can help her.
well, we have it like my eldest is like 18 and the youngest is 12, and she's in year 6 as well, and she bringing her maths homework home, and my eldest at 18 is going, I wasn't doing that at primary school.
No.
I couldn't do that.
The stuff he's bringing home now at 11, I'm sure I didn't touch until I was year 9 in high school.
Yeah.
It's
It's
crazy.
mental that they were just expected to do that.
Yeah.
And again, it's just for results at the end of the day. And it doesn't help the kids in any way, shape or form. If anything, it stresses them and traumas them.
I think it's taking their childhood away from them.
Yeah.
Phones are taking or screens are taking childhood away from them because they're not going around the back of the local pub and skating on your bike, whatever it is. Knock door run. It's a thing of the past now, isn't it?
Yeah.
As an adult, and there's
cameras now.
That's it, yeah. Hedge jumping, hedge pushing, all of that, it's gone.
Yeah.
There's that much pressure. And my 8-year-old, we were at Monster Truck Lives last night, and it was amazing. It was so good. And he was absolutely bushwhacked. I fell asleep on the way back. And before he went to bed last night when we got him home, he was like, oh, thank you for a nice weekend, Daddy. I need to do my homework for school. So, mate, we've had an amazing weekend. Just
You're not doing it.
get to bed.
Yeah.
We'll deal with that tomorrow. It's fine. And you look at his homework and it's just, it's pointless. It's just extra pressure on them.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is part of the reason why mental health in schools and in young people is at an all-time high, because of the pressures that are on them.
Yeah.
Is there anything that as parents will be listening to this, I'm sure, but obviously the parents' job at the moment is super hard in today's world, I think, given social media. You've got a lack of being able to talk to them because they're locked into this isolated zone with their phone. Is there anything you can sort of advise with either their schools or with parents, like routes to take if they think that kids are in a bad place?
The problem at the minute is all of the children's mental health services are under so much pressure. They're almost the first thing to get the funding cut, and they are so overworked. And the people that work at the ground level, like with anything within the NHS, they are amazing. They are trying so hard, but there's just too much demand, and there's just not enough people out there and funding for them to do what they do. So don't be put off by the fact that there's a 12, 18-month waiting list for certain services. There's some really good websites called, there's one called Young Minds, which is brilliant. If you go onto our website and Facebook pages and all that sort of stuff, we always put like signposted information out for people. But Young Minds is good because it's got information for young people, but also parents and carers.
Yeah.
So they can see all the resources there, what to look for, how to have the conversations. And the one bit of advice I'd give to any parent, and I probably should do it more, so it's easy for me to tell you what to do, but sit down, turn the screens off and have a conversation with them. Just sit. How was your day?
Yeah, we do that at our house because we've got 4 kids. and screens off at dinner time. And we noticed we were sitting at the dinner table and everyone just sat in silent. You got two teenage lads just eating as fast as they can. So now we do it every day. What was the best and worst part of your day? And it goes round the table, and you're not allowed to leave the table unless you've had a conversation about how your day was. Sometimes the teenage lads, you get like one word. Worst part, maths. Best part will be at break time. No, but it's just a talking point. It's a conversation. It starts, and it just gets them talking. Do you know what I mean? But then as soon as that's finished, off they go. Like off they trot. And
But it's to us as parents, it seems like they don't care. But actually, that little interaction will have a bigger impact, because all of a sudden, these teenagers that don't feel heard in a world that vilifies them. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
In a world that says that young men especially are sort of they're dangerous and they're a scourge of the earth. All these horrible things. They feel heard, and you genuinely care about what they are, and whether it is just maths and rugby at break.
Yeah.
They've been asked a question, they've been able to tell you.
Yeah.
So my 11-year-old is 11 going on 14. He's
Grunts.
I got a great one. Yeah.
But when he gets going, he talks and he's open and honest. And I've just always told my kids that I don't care what it is. Tell me. If you're happy, great. If you're sad, even better, because you're telling me that you're sad. Something we've started doing, and it's not a sales plug. We've made these journals that are for sale, but I'll tell people how to do it for free because I don't want to make money off it. We make a grid Monday, like 7 days a week, so Monday through Sunday, and we've got 5 or 6 columns: happy, sad, lonely, angry, frustrated, and we get kids to tick each day, and you can have more than one, and it's just to show these young people that it's okay to have a range of emotions in a day. And then at the end of it, they score their week out of 10 and talk about, what made me feel good, what made me feel bad, what could I do to bring the bad to a good? Is there something I could do, or is it external that's causing that?
Yeah, that's really good. That's good. I suppose it is, isn't it? If you think about it, the emotions you go through every day, isn't it?
Yeah.
That one point where you'll feel down in the dumps is actually you're just mad with yourself because of the flyaway stupid comment, or I knew I should have done that differently, and you kick yourself all down. Yeah, that's a really interesting thing. That is.
We do it for adults as well. The journals we've made aren't quite as colourful, so I prefer the kids one. There's like dots and everything in it. I think I've gone through about 6, but it's all about promoting positive mindset.
Yeah.
But your own positive mindset. So you set yourself goals, you set yourself targets, and you then reach it. And we set like a motivator. So what's your end motivation? What do you want to get from all of this?
Yeah.
But in short, as a parent, to interact with someone, get them to just tick it, or simply score their day or their week out of 10. How was it? 5. How can we make it a 6 next week?
Yeah.
We're not fussed about making it a 10 yet. How do we make next week from a 5 to a 6? And just little baby steps, and it'll get there for them.
I might just use this on my staff.
Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah.
Like, I might just get a
Well,
yeah.
I said about the flaming unicorns, we've implemented the life check. So every couple of weeks, there's 212, I think, the last count, on the WhatsApp group. Someone will just put on life check, and you score your current mental state out of 10. And
Cool.
You can put as little or as much information as you want. Anyone under a 4, well, we've trained about 25 mental health first aiders in the group now as well. So anyone under a 4, well, they'll get a reach out. He said reach around them. It might help, who knows?
That's not what you offer.
But we do.
Definitely scored a turn.
I'm on a 1 now.
Yeah, so we'll do this. They'll get the. I can't get out of my head now. They'll get the reach out from one of the mental health first aiders, or they'll just go 3 out of 10. Really crap week. Work's been this. Blah blah blah. Don't need to reach out though. I'm okay, thank you. And it just gives people a chance to get it off their chest, because they might not have something like this.
Yeah.
An outlet like a pub. They might play for us, but actually not go to a rugby club usually. And that's another reason we set it up, because a lot of these clubs now, they're going a bit more professional, and they just don't want to commit to training twice a week and have the pressure of that. They just rock up with us every 6 weeks and just waddle around a pitch for 80 minutes, but still have that social connection. And that's what we do, is we do this life check. So, right, score out of 10. But we also say to people, look, if there's the first 15 are all 5 or below, don't you dare hide the fact that you're on a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
You know, we've got to see the highs and the lows.
I was just going to say that, like, how, like, if someone's flying and there's a few like really low scores, how do you work around that? Because your instinct would be, oh, I can't tell them I'm flying, like.
And that used to happen. We'd only ever get low scores, and it wasn't me; it was somebody else put on there the one day. Lads, this is bollocks. You can't tell me out of 200 people, no one's having a good week. Be honest. And then all of a sudden it was a ding, 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 ding. I've had an 8 or 7.
Yeah.
And they were doing well. And I jumped on the back of it and said, look, we're here to support each other no matter what. So everyone's going to jump on someone who's a 2 and help them. Why can't we jump on the guy who's a 10 and celebrate and support him that we've had such a good week? And the comments after that were really nice. It was like, I don't know everyone in there. If we go to a rugby club and play them, we'll put a little QR code up and they can join the group.
Yeah.
So there's people I've never met because fixtures I've not been to. We're all just being honest with people, and they're on there and they're just going, this is phenomenal. Blokes building other blokes up. You just don't see it anymore. And it's those little things that I'll sit back and go, I should make my 7 into an 8. It makes it worth it then.
Yeah.
He's getting a reach round.
He definitely reach round. My voice note's going to change from now on.
A reach round voice note.
Yeah, absolutely. Bad day, need a reach round.
I suppose final thing for me really would be someone's sitting listening to this podcast now, and all this has touched a little nerve, and just, you know what do they do now? So they're sitting and they finish this podcast. I'll give you an example. They just pulled up on the drive, finish this and go, I'm feeling bad. What's the first step? What would you recommend they do?
Listen to a better podcast.
Obviously, yeah.
No. There's the different things, obviously. This is a general answer. If they've pulled up on the drive and they've got that if they've got a partner at home or a family unit, go and talk to them.
Yeah.
They will be there. Everybody thinks that they've got to keep the house as the safe space, and they'll have to go and find support elsewhere. That person will be there for you. It happened to me last year. I do this job, and last year you said earlier about how quickly you can go into that pit, and I kept it from my missus because I can sort this without telling her, and then she won't see that there's a problem.
Yeah.
And I didn't, and it got to the point, and the only thing that, she still holds it against me now, she's like, the only thing that pissed me off was the fact you thought you had to keep it from me. Like, as soon as I mentioned it, she's like, right, we're going to park that little bit and we'll come back to that later. But she supported me 110%. She moved mountains for me. So don't underestimate the amount of support you've got around you. If you haven't got anybody inside that front door when you get back, you've got friends, you've got wider family members, or sometimes it's easy to speak to a stranger. So reach out to us or to anybody.
Yeah.
And I say this and I genuinely mean it. If you're not sure where to go, even if you don't think we are the right fit for you, because our approach isn't for everybody, and I don't want it to be.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean we can't help you. So contact us and we'll help you find the support that works for you. Because if you come to me and I can help you 70% of what you need, I'm not doing my job well enough. However, if you come to me and then I find another charity or another organisation that can sort you out 110%, I've then also done my job 100%. So I call it positive signposting. So reach out to us, whether you want to work with us or not, and we'll help you find either the support you need or someone else that can offer that support. Make us your first port of call, and we can just help you. And we've got support groups. We've got a text service, which, again, if people want it, text the word TOUGH, TOUGH, to 85258, and it's completely anonymous. It's free. Doesn't show up on a phone bill. There's no app download or registration. It's just someone on the end of the phone that can have that chat with you. And it's like the voice note. Just that text conversation might just get it off your chest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's lots of different avenues.
Yeah, I was on the
face to face.
I was on your website last night and just amazed, because I was doing a bit of research, and just amazed by how easy it is to get in contact with you guys. Straight away it comes up, text us, call us, and you know, that straight away, if you were struggling, that'd just be amazing, because it just gives you the confidence to go straight in and do that.
Did you also notice that the get support button is bigger than the donate button?
I did.
My little bugbear, or quite big bugbear, with most of the household charity names. You go on their website and the first thing that flashes in your face is donate. Support us. So no, mate, the reason I'm on this website is because I need help. We want to make it as easy as possible for people to get the support that they need.
Yeah. No, and I think, to be honest with you, I think that's a good point made, is the fact that obviously there's people out there don't know where to turn. And if that's, like we've always said, haven't we, that if this helps one person moving forward to success, isn't it? It's one less statistic, isn't it?
I was listening to last week's episode of the podcast the other day, and when you said that very thing, the first radio interview I ever did, and I think we were a week old of Tough Enough, I said that very
really?
quote. I said, if all of this helps one person, then it's been worth it. And that's what it's all about. It's not changing the world, it's just saving that one person at a time.
Yeah.
And that one person, the ripple effect of saving that person is huge. You know, the family, the friends, the wider social.
And the ripple effect of it not, if you don't,
yeah.
is probably a bigger splash, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
They reckon there's a statistic out of America. Every suicide affects 135 people directly, and then 2,500 people indirectly.
Jeez,
that's crazy. That figure to me is absolute madness.
That's crazy.
So,
wow.
Yeah, if we could just help one person at a time, then it's been worth it.
Thank you, Stuart.
When you put in the reach around button on the website, yes or no?
Well, I'll do you a deal. If I can get a reach around button next to the back milk button.
Oh, that could be enough.
And also, Vicky, who does our website and all of our fundraising and marketing, she goes on maternity leave on Wednesday, so I get control of the website.
Oh, so we got press here for back milk, press here for reach around.
Get help now. Support us. Reach around.
Anything from you, Mark?
No, I think we've covered quite a lot there.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
And thank you. You've ticked everything we needed to know, and you've really been a great help. And thank you. Cheers, mate.
Happy days. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.